Guys, I'm Nidhi from Knowlarity and your moderator for today's session. Welcome to this webinar, which is being hosted by Knowlarity and Freshworks and is powered by AWS. Just some ground rules before we start. Please keep all your questions for us till the end of the session and use the Q&A window to share them so we can make sure that we answer all of them without missing any. So I'll just kind of introduce why we are here and we can just kind of go through the agenda for today to take you through what we are going to discuss about it. As you all know, a key to creating an excellent customer experience. So today we are here to kind of discuss one of the most important aspects of a business. We're here to say how to keep our customers happy and to provide a seamless customer experience. We all know a great customer experience ensures a longevity of the customers, and happy customers are probably the best advocates of our business and hence the best levers to growth. A key to creating an excellent CX, as we call it in the short form, is leveraging technology and establishing a robust omni-channel strategy, which has always been a top priority for most of our businesses. But with the pandemic like COVID taking us by surprise and kind of stalling all our businesses, this scene doesn't seem to be going anywhere right now. So it's imperative that companies bolster up their customer experience strategy. Without taking some more of your time, I would like to introduce our two speakers who kind of deal directly with customers, but in different parts of their life cycle. We have Sandeep from Freshworks, who takes care of getting customers, getting customers attracted, getting them onboarded, and the marketing angle of it. And we have Nitya from Knowlarity, who takes care of the delivery aspect. So once the customer signed up, how to ensure they have a smooth delivery, are happy with what they bought in. I will request Nitya to introduce himself and then pass on the stage to Sandeep for us to start the session. Nitya,
sure.
All yours.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. As everybody know, my name is Nityanand. I'm currently working with Knowlarity. Just to give a brief background about myself, I have done BTech in mechanical from IIT Kanpur. And then it had been 17, 18 years good career experience. I started my career with General Electric. I was working in the R&D division in Bangalore. Then moved to US. I was working in the product development there. So I have gone through the complete R&D to product development of X-ray machines in United States. I have 3 patents in my name. Post that, I moved to India, started working in different startups. I started working with Scanray, which is a startup in Mysore, works in X-ray imaging technologies. I work with various startups like Magic Breaks and others. Recently, I joined Knowlarity. It had been good 6 years plus here. I am here taking care of delivery. What it means is taking care of a customer post a customer has signed up. He has taken the services from us, taking the entire journey, onboarding the customer, implementing the solution, making them live, doing all the integrations and everything. So this is all about me. Over to you, Sandeep, now.
Hey, thanks, Nitya, for that introduction. So quick one about me, and thanks, Nidhi, for that start for all of us to set context as well. So as Nidhi said, so a lot of my journey in my career has been more from the customer acquisition side, whether website conversions and whatnot, from digital marketing right into SDR to BDR to sales, and now into field marketing and marketing itself as a piece. So I've had that side of the whole experience of trying to sort of make sure we acquire customers. And generally, I've been very, very passionate about customer experience. I've had the opportunity of working with some of the largest organizations in the world, and also some of the very small startups. So the entire diaspora of some of the large companies that I've had the opportunity to work with. Some of the things that I can probably call out to sort of helped set up businesses in the UK as well as some early stage startups in India. So I'm really excited to be here, and big thanks to Knowlarity for trying to get me on board and share some of our thoughts that we have here.
So in this entire discussion, we'll be talking about implementing omnichannel, which Sandeep will focus on a lot of things. Sandeep, would you like to highlight something about implementing omnichannel?
Thanks, Nitya. So I think just to take up, I think there are a few key elements like Nitya mentioned that we're going to talk about here. And what we've tried to do amongst ourselves is try to cover each of these bits. One, I think it's really important to understand, I'm going to cover how one can actually implement an omnichannel strategy, or how difficult or easy it is to do. What is an omnichannel strategy in that place? Then we move into Nithya, who will talk a little bit about capturing each customer's unique journey and what that means and how important it is. We kind of follow that up with what a distributed workforce or remote working will look like. And this is so relevant to today's times. As you can very well see, all of us on this presentation as well are talking from our homes, but still having a good working day. Then I will cover a little bit about what customer 360 degrees mean and why it's so important to have that entire holistic 360-degree view, where both Nithya and I will share some points there. Nithya from a delivery angle, me from a customer acquisition angle, and why it's so important from both from an agent side and from the other side as well, from the customer side. And I think at the end we'll kind of share why we feel that it's so much more imperative that today one needs to be investing a lot more in technology. Given what's happening in the world today, I think if a lot of companies who are digitally first, who have already engaged in that digital transformation journey, probably have the upper hand over several organizations today, and why it's so much more important for all of you to be investing a lot more there.
Yeah. So what it means is like today, it's a sad customer, right? If you do not have all these things, you do not have omni-channel customer experience, you do not have good customer service. The customer experience is a toss, and customer is happy. At the end, you want to make it happy. And how do you do it with technology? That is we are going to talk about here.
Absolutely.
All the technologies that will help us.
Yeah, just to add to Nithya's point, and even something that Nidhi mentioned earlier on as well, happy customers are your best customer advocates. Nothing like having a happy customer. And I think what we were trying to say in that previous slide was also like Nithya mentioned, trying to sort of bring the two bridges together. Use technology to make this work for you, to make it work for your customers, and let them be your advocates for you. So I think just to highlight here, this is an obvious statement, right? There's nothing new that we're stating here. Today, the customer has all the power. And what we know today is with the umpteen amount of choices that we have as customers, both from a customer end as well, all it takes is one bad experience to move away to a new customer, to move away to a new service, to move away to a new product because of the options available. So the pressure is a lot more on companies these days to identify what your customer experience strategy is. Let me put things in perspective, right? So for example, and we're sort of going out there to try to see what this means as far as, let's say, a post-pandemic world. We're already emerging. Companies are coming out of the pandemic situation. People are starting to work, slowly going back into offices, not just in India, but across the globe. There has been almost a 55% increase in the amount of people moving from like a physical store experience to an online experience. And a lot of this has got to do with groceries. Groceries, for example. I'll tell you honestly, I don't walk out to a grocery shop anymore. I just go to my popular app and I'll choose whatever I want. This is an emerging trend. This is a trend that is not just happening in that world, but across the worlds as well. Another very, very interesting stat that came out. So typically when we see at an age group that is past, let's say the 45 age group per se, they're generally not the conventional e-commerce users. They're not the conventional users in that sense. But now, given whatever is happening, that has increased by more than 27%. So your world is online. If you're, as a company, you're not there and not providing the right kind of services, you are going to miss out, right? If you can move on to the next slide. Great. So given that all your customers could be in multiple channels, I think it's a good segue to go into a poll for us to get a feel of the kind of audience that is joined. So what support channels do your customers prefer? So feel free to tick. There are a bunch of options you should see on your screen, which is phone, email, chat, any social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, texting, messaging, WhatsApp, or directly through a mobile app. You can choose multiples of these, of course, because as companies, you're probably definitely in more than one, given the nature of your business. We'll keep it up for a few more seconds. I think we should be okay. We can take down the poll. Were there any interesting facts? So Nidhi on the other, I'm going to put her on the spot. Any interesting facts are we seeing from these? Any like couple of top two perhaps?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the number one choice is phone. The number 2 actually goes out to email. And the number 3 again is a mobile app, followed by the last one, which is WhatsApp or text messaging.
I'm sure you at Knowlarity are probably happy that number 1 is phone, given the nature of business Knowlarity is in. But that's quite. I'm not surprised by that response, because I feel like a lot of customers want that personal experience, want that personal touch. So phone becomes one of the means that they can use. So great, we can move on to the next slide. Fantastic. Now, given the channels, and we've tried to highlight a few channels in that poll as well, and some of them will come here. Now, what we're trying to say basically in this particular slide is to tell you that during a customer's journey, they might go anywhere between 1 to 3 channels before they make that purchasing decision. So sometimes in an idealistic world, this is probably what your customer is trying to do. He might just walk into a store and decide, hey, I'm not buying this product today. I might just go somewhere else and buy it. He might go through chat. He might go through Facebook. He might come back on the web. So your customer buying journey could be as complicated as what this graph looks like. But in reality, this is probably what's happening, because today customers want the right kind of value for money. So they will do their research before they actually pick up a product. So what does this mean, right? So this means several things. One, in the angle of, as a company, are you omni-channel? Are you multi-channel in the first place? And then are you omni-channel? So I'll just quickly define omni-channel, probably try to segue at this point. What omni-channel means is today the company's ability to support multiple channels of customer engagement, whether it's web, whether it's on the phone, whether it's digital. However, as part of the customer experience, whatever it takes, the right kind of customer experience to deliver that experience to your customers, you need to be available on those channels, right? So that's what it probably means. We'll move on to the next bit. Great. So keeping the previous slide in mind and what I just showed you there, what's important here in all of this is, as we mentioned earlier on as well, the customer is the one who decides how the fate of things are going to be like for as a company, as an organization itself. Thereby, so as a company, creating wow experiences is hard. Creating those consistently good experiences is really hard. A classic example is what's here on the slide, right? You have a problem, you might choose to, hey, I'm just going to email you. I'm going to pick up the phone and call you, like the 3 examples, top two that we got as well. I might decide to tweet the CEO of an organization, right? So there could be several people reaching out to several different agents on the other end. Each one could give you a great experience, poor experience, bad experience. You could have varying degrees of experiences as well happening. And as a result, what this means is that overall, you could have end up quite a bad or poor experience. But what I'm trying to get at, as I mentioned previously, you could be multi-channel as an organization where you are in multiple channels. But if each of your channels, each of your support channels don't necessarily talk to each other, then you are going to give a bad experience. Just imagine if the agent who's receiving the email has context about the chat that happened, the telephone conversation, or any other means, he is able to deliver a better experience. Right, and at this point, I'm going to sort of bring in Nithya as well, just to check on him. So Nithya, how integral do you think customer journey mapping is to deliver great service? Because now we are in multiple channels. Companies could be in a very, very clear multi-channel strategy. How important do you feel customer journey mapping is?
Bang on question, Sandeep. Absolutely right question. So customer journey is very important to serve a customer, right? As you mentioned, right, customer comes try to reach to us via various channels, right? Email, tweet, as you told, right, like customer, you yourself will be tweeting to your customers, right? Your businesses, right? Now, if you know the customer journey, what is his behavior? That decides the customer behavior, right? What is his behavior? How does he behave? Is he a tweet guy or is he a mail guy? Is he a phone guy, right? Or does he prefer to phone, or whom does he reach? How many times he has tried to reach us? Or how many times have we tried to reach the customer? Via which channels we have tried to reach the customer? So when we know the entire journey of the customer, we understand, the business understands that customer much better. And if we understand the customer, then we are able to serve that customer better. So it's absolutely very important in today's world to understand the customer journey from start to end and in all life cycle. And that has to be facilitated by technology, whatever we are talking about here, Sandeep. Absolutely agree.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nithya. I think that's a good perspective in that sense. And with that, we'll sort of move on to the next bit. So what does this mean as far as your company is concerned, as far as your customer experience strategy is concerned? What does that mean? There are 4 key engagement strategies we believe that can help you create or keep customers for life. The 4 of them are having collaborative engagement, contextual engagement, predictive engagement, and what will be the more important thing, anywhere engagement, right? What I'll try and do is in the course of this next few slides, I'll sort of try and take you through what each of these actually mean. If we can move on to the next bit. Lovely. All right, so one of the key things is be available wherever your customers roam. What this means is that, as you see there a stat, 67% of customers use at least 3 different channels at any given point to try and engage with the firm. So first, like Nithya mentioned previously, if you're mapping your customer journey correctly, then you are able to identify what are the channels your customers might try and reach out to you. So thereby you build out a strategy where you are available in these channels. And that's what this means. We'll move on to the next bit. Now, I love this graph. It's one of my favorite graphs that we created in recent times. It's about using the right channel at the right place at the right time. Anybody of you who's attending this call can actually sit and do this for your organization as well. It's a simple graph, nothing much. Just look at the X and Y axis. It simply says, if it's a simple process or if it's a complex process in one axis, and looking at where the customer journey is, the evaluation process, purchasing process, or depending on where you are. Now, a simple way of trying to reach out to your customers is having a simple FAQ. If it's just at the evaluation stage and the process that the sales complexity is extremely simple, then an FAQ can solve for that. So all you need to do is using this right channel, using this graph, you can map this kind of a journey out for your customers, for your company as well, right? So I think, Nithya, in this context, and I see phone there as well, I'm going to ask you this very clearly, given the audience that we have, maybe this question answers itself, but just to sort of put in perspective what it means is that, is the phone still relevant in the customer support channel world, given wherever it is, wherever we are, in this whole omni-channel side of things? What kind of role does the phone play, and how important is the phone in this context?
Yeah, absolutely right question, Sandeep. See, there are certainly various media. Either we connect with the customer or customer connects with us, right? And being it chat, email, phone, or WhatsApp, or everything, right? And see, there are 2 different types of communication that happens, which is asynchronous or synchronous communications, right? Asynchronous is basically chat, WhatsApp, whatever we use. There, the customer don't need the information right away. He's fine that I sent a message and I'm okay to get a reply after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. Or the agent wants to pass a message to your customer in a chat or way, right? Which is primarily a delayed communication. Phone is a synchronous and a not delayed communication, right? So either the customer wants to know the information right away. My delivery is not coming up. I have tried to connect with the customer over the email, and now I need to talk to the expert, right? How they can reach? They can reach via the phone. Or the agent wants to connect with the customer, they need to connect with our phone, right? So that they can talk right there, hear the voice, get the personalized comment, can understand and feel the customer, and both ways, right? So phone is still and will remain, I would say, for still a decade, coming decade, right? Phone will be one of the most preferred way of communication, and we have to have that in our entire journey of the customer. We need to have this information. Who is calling, when is calling, what time, how frequency is calling, is a very, very good way of communication.
Absolutely. I agree with Nithya in that sense. I think one key point that you mentioned there as well, that whole personalized experience, that delivering that personalized experience, an agent over the phone, by how they recognize the customer on the other end, the way they respond makes a big difference. That's great. Lovely. We'll move on to the next slide then. So I think just taking off what Nithya said, so one is the whole phone experience that one can really deliver on that personal side of things. One other experience that one can, and probably a lot of you are probably already leveraging today, is trying to be available and being proactive. So where you can do that is by leveraging things like bots and AI, for example, to help you with that. So for example, if you go on to a lot of the popular e-commerce websites as well, the first few conversations perhaps are done by bots and that use AI technology per se, that can possibly help you solve at least L1. When I mean L1, I mean simple level queries that one might potentially have. The bot can throw in recommendations based on historic data that it's able to pull together. But that's something that you can also, here's where we're talking about you trying to also leverage the benefits of technology to help you grow your business given wherever we are in the world today. So that's an important part. We'll move to the next one. Now this, I feel, I want to spend a couple of minutes on 2 slides here that talks a little bit more about this. And I think I mentioned a little bit about this earlier as well, right? This is both from the agent perspective, who is at the receiving end of the comments or the queries that the customer has, or the customer perspective as well. Now, the key is, in order to maintain happy customers, you need to be able to deliver that seamless experience, the seamless great experience itself. Now, the challenge that one might have as a customer, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably had the negative side of some of these things as well. For example, you might pick up the phone and call your preferred bank or e-commerce portal or wherever you might want to. And sometimes you get shifted on to agent, to agent, to agent, to the supervisor, to wherever. And a lot of the times, the person before might not even have context, right? So if you don't have a 360-degree view of your customer, that's going to be a problem, because as the customer on the other end, you're going to have to keep repeating yourself every time. And that's frustrating, because you've already come there because you have a problem, you're not able to solve for that. The second aspect of this whole thing is, as I mentioned as well, is about the fact that when you try and reach through different channels at probably even different points in time, one channel does not know what the other channel, what context the other channel has already had, what conversation has already had. If you have that 360-degree view, then as a customer, you get great experience. As an agent, your life is not frustrating, because you are able to see these multiple conversations happen. You have greater context of who, let's say, Sandeep is as a customer, what kind of things he's buying, what is he complained about, what is his problem today. You probably might already have that solution in place to deliver the right kind of solution. So I think it's very, very important to have that holistic view of your customer record when you go out and build out your omni-channel strategy itself. We'll move on to the next one. And so thereby something like this, right? So realistically, if you have all of that customer data, you're really able to identify what pain point of your customer is. Is he happy? Is he sad? Why is he coming to you again? What is that context as well, right? So in fact, I feel that number should be much higher. We pulled out a report that we had recently, which says 76% of customers expect agents to know their history, but only 37% feel that agents have the right context. And that's probably true today. And given that the world that we are moving in, where everybody is going online, almost everything is, this becomes all the more important, because customers are going to reach you from all channels. And if your agents don't have the right context, it becomes very difficult for them to deliver greater service, right? So yeah, I think.
So at this point, Sandeep, I would like to know, before we go to the poll, Sandeep, so in context of Freshworks, right? How does the Freshwork help customers have their 360-degree view? Can you just elaborate more on that? That will be enlightening.
Thanks, Nitya. So I think at this point is a good way to sort of segue a little bit about what Freshworks as an organization does. So we're basically, I mentioned earlier, we're a customer engagement platform. We have a whole suite of products that help you right from customer acquisition right to providing support. Now, how will Freshworks as a product, or one of the products that Freshworks has that can solve this for you? What Freshworks does is we have something called a master customer record. A master customer record built in the application can give you all the data that I'm talking about, can give you information about what was the last channel that one connected with, what is the conversation that they had. And the beauty of a master customer record in this context as well, it syncs well with Knowlarity's telephony solution as well. So you're able to identify what telephone calls had happened, what are the conversations that they were talking about. So it gives you this holistic solution where you have the entire master customer record, thereby delivering great experience for you as an agent and for the customer as well. Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a good time to segue into you, Nitya. And I think great question here, poll for everyone. So does your company use cloud telephony today? Please participate in the poll and we'll get some great insights. And then over to you, Nitya.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. People can poll. The answer, if you are using cloud telephony, yes or no.
Interestingly, Nitya, before you start, I'll just let you know about 56% people think they are using cloud telephony. 44% of the audience isn't right now, and everyone is taking part in the poll.
Okay, so that is great. Most of the people here are using cloud telephony, so that is very good. So people know about cloud telephony as well, and I will just tell in terms of the customer 360 degree. There are various smart solutions that there are in the market, and the technology providers which everybody should be using to enable the customers. One being the cloud contact center. So most of you already know what is cloud contact center, right? Historically, the contact center is deployed in your premise. You have the kind of PRI lines in your home, in your office. You have systems, you have capex involved into this, and the call comes and the calls are picked up by your agents. It takes probably months to deploy. With the recent technologies now, everything on the cloud, you can deploy it within hours. So there are cloud contact centers. There are mobile devices enabled customer support. Everything is moving to smartphone devices, and everybody wants that all the solutions should be smartphone compatible. There are many intelligent tools, right? Which I will be also talking about is automated speech recognition, TTS, AI-based insights. All these technologies will provide you better customer 360 degree. So this is what I will go through in this. Next slide, please. Now, when we are talking about all these solutions, be it Freshworks, be it contact center, be it AI-based solutions, so many of you might be thinking, is it time consuming? How much time it takes? Is it good for me or not? So all those things are answered here in very 8 simple steps, right? All these solutions are customizable. So customizable to your needs, what you want, what any business wants, right? This can be customized. They are very cost effective. There is almost nil, close to zero capex. It only works on the OPEX model. You pay what you use when you use, kind of stuff. The data is very secure. All the data. So everybody wants to have the data security, right? So the data security is taken care by big umbrella, whoever is providing the services to, be it Knowlarity, Freshworks, or any other customer, any other service provider, be it AWS, Google, or whatever, right? All these solutions are very highly scalable, right? As you grow the business, as we grow the business, we want that the customer experience should not go for a toss, right? If your customers are coming, you scale your business very fast, right? You want the solution to be scalable. Then only you can provide high customer experience. So all these solutions are scalable, easy to use, very easy to use. Lot of FAQs, videos are there on the internet by the service providers. You get real-time insights, right? All those things are real-time insight is very, very, very important, right? I'll talk more about that in the next slide also, where you want to understand, right, what is going on with the business currently at this point of time, right? So all those things becomes available. A lot of things can be automated. A lot of your operations, processes, which could be automated as well. For example, you can trigger on events. When a lead comes, what happens, for example, right? When a sale happens, what happens? Right? All these things, rules can be done, right? If a sale happens, a call also should go to the customer. A message should go to the customer or to the agent or to CEO, for example, right? All those things. And so the entire solution deployment perspective, it's hassle-free process. Most of the solutions can be deployed within a couple of hours. Complex solution maybe in maybe a couple of days. Next slide, you were bang on right. So I just give a couple of thought process regarding cloud contact center, right? So when we come to the cloud contact center, right? So many of you might be thinking, is this the right solution you want to use? Certainly, as we discussed earlier also, phone is the medium where everybody wants to connect today, want to get the personalized information. And with the cloud contact center, a lot of things can be personalized to the next level as well. Using the IVR systems, right? Using the automated systems, automated names. So for example, when the call comes, the system itself says, right? Welcome Nityanand, right? Welcome Sandeep, right? Oh, you had called us 5 times. Is there any problem? Is there any more problem with you, right? So those things are done, right? You can know all your agents, right? You can agent manage, control the agents remotely. All this in pandemic scenario, right? All your agents are working remotely, employees are working remotely, customers are working remotely. So everything is should be remotely managed, right? Very easy to do. You can improve your SLA. You can set the SLA, get all the insights about the SLA. You can manage the SLA during the peak hours, non-peak hours. What is the impact of those? All those things are manageable. You stay informed about the waiting callers, right? what is the throughput of the agents? Are your callers or your customers are on wait, for example, right? How many customers are kind of currently waiting? Are your agents less? Do you have more number of agents? Do you have less number of agents? Do you need to now increase the number of agents? All the productivity tool comes into play as well. All right, you get very deep insights, right? And you can customize all these insights according to your needs. Every business have their own needs of insights. I will need different insights. Sandeep will need different insights. Different businesses will need different insights, right? You can customize, generate your insights, right? There are call transfer can happen to different people. Agent and customer is talking. You would like to have the agent transfer the call to, for example, your supervisor, or to supervisor to supervisor. All those things are very much doable. You can tap into the live agent conversation which is going on between your customer and agent, right? You would like to barge in and see what is happening. Everything is possible on the cloud contact center. With all these data being available to you, you can train and improve your agent and providing the highest level of productivity for the agents. So all these scenario certainly improves your customer experience, which is the need of the hour. There is no denial that any business today cannot survive without this, and all those things are provided with the cloud contact center.
Yeah. So Nitya, just one question there. I think you mentioned, you did cover a little bit about that. You mentioned about the fact that how you get deep insights, and a lot of this context is being provided to the agent as well. So how does this, I mean, it's quite, in a way, how does this fit from a whole 360 degree of the customer perspective? I mean, both from the agent side and the customer side, where does this whole the contact center sort of enhance the CX in that sense?
Absolutely, Sandeep. Phone being a very broader media for us to reach, either the business to reach to the customer or customer reaching us, right? So we need to have, the business has to have the information about when the customer is calling, how many times he's calling, when the agent is connecting with the customer, is the customer talking politely or not? I will come later as well in terms of the AI and ASR, which will help us. So all those information related to the communication that is happening over voice is now readily available in the data format, in the data form in the system, which now defines and provides as the customer 360-degree view, which is very much needed. Right now, if somebody is talking from your mobile phone itself, right, you don't have a view. You don't know how many times your relationship manager has talked to the customer, right? For example, if my relationship manager from HDFC Bank is calling me, I don't know if the HDFC has all the information, and that has to be there so that to have the customer 360-degree view. So this is very important, Sandeep, and complements the entire customer 360-degree view of the customer.
Cool, thanks.
Now the poll time, we would like to know, why do you think our customer support team has not implemented a cloud PBX system yet? So there are multiple reasons: time and resource crunch, or is it insufficient knowledge? Not sure if it will benefit you or not. So we were all the way, but we have not implemented. So whatever is the reason you think you have not implemented, or people are not implementing, you can answer.
It's interesting to share, Nitya and Sandeep, just a lot of people are kind of insufficient knowledge about the technology. Is probably the major reason why they haven't implemented this. And some of the people just feel that they were on their way to implement this, and then they kind of couldn't complete the cycle, or don't know the benefits directly for their own business. But the top being insufficient knowledge of how they can benefit from cloud.
So I think this knowledge sharing session certainly would be helping a lot of people in terms of the cloud telephony technology and others. And the people who wants to implement should implement it faster. I certainly say now they understand that it's easy to implement as well. So can be implemented. Now moving to the next part of it, right? So everybody is not talking about a smartphone and a smartphone being the device and moving from laptop, desktop as well to smartphones, right? And having the work from home and remote working, right? Now, what it means is that everything has to be in the smartphone itself. But people will buy 10,000, 15,000 a smartphone, and that should suffice the most of the work part, right? That is true in today's world, right? The smartphone is now your call center, right? The agent or your customer relationship manager or your agent or the customer just needs to have a smartphone. The agent can receive the calls on the smartphone, can answer, can do all the activity which is required for a call center. They can set the list, they can upload the callers if they are doing the outbound call, for example. If they are telecallers, right? They can upload all the customer list, and they start just calling, right? If they are doing, they want to set the disposition, they can set the disposition, they can do the automatic reminders, they can set appointments. When they set appointments, they will get the notification on their mobile apps, and all these things, whatever activity is happening on the mobile app, certainly gets synced with the backend, and everything is available on the web as well, and all the insights and everything is there. They can see the reports as well on the mobile phone. So practically, the smartphone is now the call center, and easy to manage, very easy to manage. So next thing. So one thing is the smartphone, and second thing is the recent things. What we want is AI, automatic speech recognition, text to speech, and everything. So the challenge with the telephonic conversation is that it's voice. So it's a sound file, right? If you have the recordings, you have the CDR. CDRs is basically the call details. When the customer has called, what was the call details, how much time he has talked, what he has talked. But everything is in the now sound file, right? Now suppose the conversation has happened for 10 minutes, right? Now either it has happened for 10 minutes. Traditionally, what happens is that you have the quality control people. They will listen to those recordings. Then they will say, has the conversation happened good, bad, or what? All those things are now available in terms of the ASR and TTS, right? So let me tell you what is automated speech recognition. That voice file, whatever is there, gets converted to text, and then there are more analytics done on based of it. You can know when talking to the agent or the agent was talking to the customer, was the conversation good? Was the conversation leading to a fruitful meaning or not? Was the conversation going in the right direction? Was agent happy? Was the customer very annoyed? Or the customer was okay? Or if it was a sales call, right? Was it a good lead, warm, cold lead, or it was really hot lead, right? All those things can be automated as well, right? With the text to speech, when you reach to the customer, right? So there are many messages which are going, right? Those can be converted into voice itself. So suppose an automated call comes to me, right? And it says, right? Welcome Nitya, how are you? Your bill amount due is this much on this date, right? All those things are pretty much available. And good part is that these things are available to everyone today, right? It's not only that these things are available for big companies like BG or Cisco or all those. These are available for very small companies, SME, 10 people organization, 5 people organization at a very, very affordable prices. It won't cost more than a agent price primarily, right? And all these things are available. Yeah. So that's the beauty of it.
There one question, I hope I'm not digressing, the previous slide itself. So one thing I've been reading about a lot, especially with regards to automated speech recognition, is things like sentiment analysis, right? What role do you feel something like, is sentiment analysis even at play? And what role do you feel it has into helping sort of enhance your CX in general?
So absolutely. See, customer experience actually is all about what is the sentiment of that customer, right? Be it in terms of text, be it in terms of chat or email or whatever, right? So email customer might be writing 10 words, right? But you have to understand actually what is the sentiment of the customer. And the same applies to voice as well, right? And when it comes to voice, it is very hard to understand what was the sentiment of that customer. Was the customer very angry? Was the agent talking to the customer politely or not? Was your agent talking to taking the conversation in the right direction or not? What is the emotions of that customer, right? And in today's world, that is all possible as well. You can understand, you can do the emotion, you can understand the emotion from the entire context, and you can classify that conversation into good, bad, ugly, angry customer, very angry customer, happy customer, right? And your happy customer, certainly when you know, right, you can talk to them as well. Those becomes your brand ambassador as well. And the unhappy customers will spoil your reputation. You have to pay attention to that as well. And all the sentiment analysis today is available, and those can be done as well. And this helps the entire customer experience and customer journey. So I hope that answers, Sandeep.
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now a lot of people might be thinking like all these solutions seem to be maybe are these kind of affordable. Where does this fit? Which industry does this fit? Does this suit to my industry or not? I am a small shopkeeper, for example. Does this suffice my purpose or not? So I'll just give you all these solutions, Freshworks and cloud contact centers and smartphone solutions are certainly available for all the industry, be it automobiles, for example, be it Maruti company, be it Car Wale, Car Dekho, all those people use these solutions in one form or the other. Logistics, like today you get a delivery from Swiggy, right? They use the systems, right? They call you using all the telephonic services. You book a Uber or Ola, right? For example, right? The driver is calling to you. All these things are used by them, those guys, right? When you are calling to the driver doesn't know your number. That's the privacy has to be intact, right? BFSI, be it Kotak, be it Mahindra First Choice, be it Yes Bank, all those customers usage, healthcare, fitness, right? The gym businesses, they use it. Education, EdTech, I'll come to next as well, a couple of things, like franchisee services, insurance, right? Policy Bazaar, you get the calls from Policy Bazaar, right? For example, automated policy calls come. They know the entire history. When you call the Policy Bazaar, for example, they know how many times you call. They have the entire history, right? When the agent is calling to you, he will tell you, right? Okay, sir, I have called you 10 times. You were looking for this policy. They know, like you were looking for this policy. They know as soon as you are browsing on their website, right? They know, and then the call comes. So all those things are automated as well. So this is suitable for every industry, every segment, be it small company, be it larger company, everywhere it's suitable, available, and ready to use. Here I will tell Sandeep in the next slide. So Sandeep, would you like to talk about any customer which is in your mind, some story about one of the customers?
Yeah, I think it's thanks. I think there are a couple of names I can think about straight off. I think one, I don't know whether you guys, apart from what's mentioned already on the slide, it's there, Fixman. There you go. If you guys have heard of Fixman, so just for context for everybody, Fixman is one of those large mobile repair electronic device providers that is basically out of India. And typically what happens in Fixman is, let's say you have a problem with your mobile and you go for repair and take it to one of their branches. And you want to find out a little bit about when will your product, when your phone, etc., get ready at that point in time. All you need to do is just raise a ticket and request for a callback. There is a clear integration there between one of Freshworks products, Freshdesk integrates with Knowlarity in this particular case, and the agent will directly be able to call you through Freshdesk just by clicking the call icon, the call button per se. And as a result, you receive that very seamless, personalized experience in general. Yeah. So I think Fixman is one of those examples that will work well there.
Yeah, sure, Sandeep. One of the example I would like to highlight is Extra Marks, for example, right? In EduTech, everybody know, right? So from entire customer journey, right? Each combined into Freshworks and Knowlarity kind of solutions, right? So when a customer is kind of coming on board, right? So when the customer is coming on board, the assignment happens, that lead is assigned to a sales automatically. When the sales guy calls, the automatic calls goes to the customer. The customers pick up the phone or not, that history is available on the system, right? When the customer, when the lead has converted into sales, actual sales, and he has become the customer, now it is assigned to the relationship manager, and the customer is able to call on the number dedicated for that customer. Right? When he's calling back on the support number, all those history, the calls, whenever he has called, is available on the Freshworks system, right? So in the entire system, they are using it beautifully, and hence they are able to scale their system to a great extent as well. They don't have to worry about. They just focus on their business, what is their business, and the customer experience part. A lot of things is being kind of outsourced and taken care of by other service provider. This is how we should scale, and you should scale your businesses as well.
And that's a great example, Nitya, because that's like one of those truly omni-channel experiences itself that Extra Marks has created, right? given the where the world is today, just for context, Extra Marks is one of the learning apps that one can go in and pick up courses, and all of us are probably using apps like Extra Marks or Extra Marks itself for our learning things. And this particular integration that we have, literally from omnichannel experience, they are on phone, they are on their app itself, they are on email, so customers can reach out to them through their support channels, irrespective of whatever channel they are, and deliver great experience. So yeah, this is one of those classic examples of a product that's so relevant to today's times as well.
So yeah, next is the poll time. I think we would like to know if you are interested in learning more about how Freshworks and Knowlarity solutions can help you overcome all the customer experiences challenges. So we will be happy to reach you out, explain, and provide more insight in this.
All right. Thanks, Nitya, and thanks, Sandeep. We have an overwhelming response of yes to that question, which makes a lot of work for us post this, and we should be getting back to all of you who responded with a yes. Just to kind of summarize what Sandeep and Nitya, I would like to thank them for their time and being here with us. It's very hard, but for some of you who joined us late, I'll just try and summarize what they put forward for us and for us to understand and take back home. And then we'll get back to the Q&A. The three major points which we've discussed today is how to build an omnichannel strategy which is successful for our business. The first and foremost point is to create a plan of action. It's important to select the right channel. And when I say right channel, it's important to select what is the best channel for your customer and your business needs. And that is not the same for every business and every customer. So it's very important to understand that. It's good to always start small with the channel, and then as your business and customers and audience advances and is comfortable is when you build out a strategy from there and keep adding on more and more channels. Two is having having a lot of fluidity amongst channels, which means there should be a consistent customer experience. If today I as a customer begin my journey on one channel, I should be able to seamlessly transfer to another one, and then to another platform without having any break in my communication with you. So I can start my journey with a phone, but then decide to move on to WhatsApp, or then again move to chat, and or the other was vice versa. But you should be able to have the same feeling, give me the same experience. That's number two. And number three is obviously all of this becomes an enabler. It's technology in between this. So we need to leverage the best technology available to us and all the platforms and solutions that we have. Having said that, it's very important to have a back-end technological platform, which is very, very important and helps you streamline your growing customer needs. That's a basic summary of what Nitya and Sandeep will just kind of put forward for us. We have a lot of questions for you guys, Sandeep and Nitya, so please be ready. I'll start with some of the ones that have been most important. Just some guys, before that, a couple of people raised your hands but didn't ask questions, like Kanchan, Dharam and Rajesh. So if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A box. To start with one, I think Nitya, you would have answered this, but this is raised for you. Is there a model or technology to regularize the sales calls of feet on street? And can the same be used for preparing the sales team's priorities?
Come ahead.
Is there a technology to regularize or make, basically, for people who are on the street, the sales guys who are feet on street, is there a way to kind of monitor them and to have them make their priority, like kind of mind their task and their priorities for you?
Yes, absolutely. The thing that I talked about, the smartphone becoming your call center, right? So we have the mobile app integrated with the backend, right? So we have a product called Tentacle, right? So you can have a Tentacle product in which you get all the sales calls. Sales will call, sales will receive the calls there. Sales will be able to make the customer calls. All those calls and communications are basically stored in the backend. You can see the analysis. You can see who is calling, how many calls are making, right? So what primarily wants in the sales organization? You want to understand how are sales calling the customers, right? How many follow-ups are happening? Are the follow-ups happening correctly or not? right? Are they actually calling the customers or not? Right? All those informations are certainly available at the back end. This is available. Sandeep, you can add anything on that?
Yeah, I think I echo what you're saying, Nitya. I think be able to collect all that data, to be able to present that in that sense, I think it makes a lot of sense from that perspective.
Sandeep, I have a question directly for you. This is in your graph of sales complexity versus journey. Where will you build in the urgency of the situation for the customer, since that will largely determine the channel that he will prefer?
Great question there. I think, so just to clarify on that, so that wasn't actually a customer journey mapping, just to clarify on that, that was more helping you as a company, as an organization, identify what kind of channels you need at multiple stages. It wasn't actually the journey. So I think when it comes to urgency per se, I think you need to look at, I think you'll have to probably bypass the channels in that sense and figure out what is the best channel you want to get the quickest response in. But I think before we go into the whole urgency part, I think the purpose of that graph per se was more to identify, hey, based on why you feel your customers are coming to you, or based on the kind of, whether it's a complex query, whether it's a simple query, whether it's at the evaluation stage or at a different stage of the journey, identify what combination of channels or what channel per se, support channel can work for you. So that's basically what that was. Nitya, anything about, I think that's a good question in that sense. Maybe Nitya, you can cover, because you mentioned a bit about the whole customer journey part. Is there something you feel, how does one handle urgencies in a customer journey? It's a great question, because it's more from the sense of if somebody's reaching out, irrespective of the channel that you are, they want immediate response. Each channel could have a different kind of response or a different SLA for their responses per se. But is there any way to kind of prioritize urgent requests? Are there particular channels that are preferred for urgent requests and all of that?
Yeah, one of the actually challenge in all these omni-channel is that the systems are not integrated. Most of the systems that are used by the people are not integrated. So the agent who is handling the request have to go to multiple places. He has to go for the chat in some other place. He has to go on phone for some other place, or for the email for other place. And hence there is a delay as well. So one of the things is certainly is integrated that we are talking, like all the information should be at one place. That's the customer journey should have. And then irrespective of whatever way the customer is coming, right, then there is a SLA and the customer has to be responded. When you implement this and this is there, the problem gets automatically solved, right? Yeah. Customer has come, it has to be responded.
Thanks, Nitya. I have one line to add there from a perspective, right? I know this is not the definition of multi and omni-channel. Multi-channel, I always believe, is the opportunity to be in multiple channels. Needed necessarily, not every multi-channel strategy is omni-channel, but every omni-channel strategy is multi-channel. What I mean by that is not to confuse everyone. Multi-channel is by being in every channel, but needed necessarily being connected. And that's what Nitya is saying. And a lot of the times you will have a lot of companies who will be on multiple channels for whatever reason, because they feel their customers are there, or it's just something that they feel that they need to be. But like Nitya said, if you don't have an omni-channel strategy where everything is connected and everything talks to each other, then irrespective of the level of urgency, you're never going to be able to respond on time, no matter what channel the customer comes to you, because they are expecting the response immediately, irrespective of where they're coming from.
Okay, just another quick question. Is there any database on which AI will welcome the customer by taking their name? And does some basic data we can collect without agent in the phone, like location, product, etc.?
Yes, so I'll just answer partially and then hand over to Sandeep. Today a lot of information is already available, which is, so if somebody is calling, Truecaller gives us the information, or you have the name, right? So you want to, the caller circle is there, so you know where that customer is calling from. Is he calling from Delhi? Is he calling from Mumbai? All those informations are there. So based on that, the automated call response while the customer is calling, which is an inbound call or an outbound call, right? We can respond to that customer in that fashion for sure, right? Where the message could be, you are calling from Maharashtra, okay, tell me. So the call can be transferred to, for example, Marathi language agent, right? Or he can be responded in Marathi language as well. So those things are possible, absolutely.
I agree with Nitya. I mean, it really depends. I think one of the biggest things for AI to truly work is the amount of data you give the AI to play with. True AI, the true nature of AI is the amount of data that is, because most of AI is not intelligent AI. AI is learning. It's learning from previous data that's available. So it will pick up insights. And like Nitya said, like you can, at level of IP tracking, you're able to identify somebody coming in from a particular geo or a particular state or a particular region. You can customize your response to that, and all those things it can do for you.
Okay, so I'll take one more question just because we're kind of getting short of time, and request everyone to share, stay back because we have some great offers from both Freshdesk as well as Knowlarity for all of you here attending the session. This is for you and Nitya and Sandeep. Can you share some use case in telehealth?
Yes, from the one of the use case from the telephony perspective is that in the telehealth, what you want to have is that the patient will be talking to the doctor, right? And you want to have that history, right? One is that history, so they can talk using the phone. The patient and doctor need not, right, and should not be displaying their numbers, so that the patient is not debugging or not bugging the customer again and again, or the doctor again and again. So you can use the number masking solution where they can talk, the recording is there. In the telehealth, it is also important that you want to have right the recording and the information available for the customer for the future also. So all those things are available. Then the customer is talking, and the other thing all this is the chat, right? Will Sandeep can add as well, right? Today prescription has to be necessary. The doctor is prescribing the prescription, that prescription is available in the record itself, and that prescription, when the customer is ordering the medicine, that prescription is available, right? So all those things are the use case which we are doing as well in telehealth.
Yeah.
Sandeep,
just to add to what Nitya said, so given the circumstances where health is such a big thing, there are so many other providers as well, so many other companies beyond the telehealth thing. So companies that provide, I'll give you a couple of names as well. Bracto, for example, it's an organization that uses an app. So for example, you can, as a person, want to fix an appointment with a doctor, whether it's through phone or whether it's through a physical meeting, you can use that application to try and reach out. There are several other providers, people that deliver medicines to you, for example, and you can literally buy your medicines through the chat interface itself in several of these cases. So just to add, it's become even more important today, especially with telehealth, and I agree with Nitya. For example, if you're looking at getting counseling, for example, it's very important to keep your data, keep your information all the more important. And that's where things like telephony become such a big role in relation to telehealth itself.
Okay, guys, there's just one more question which is very important to cloud by itself, and I think we should answer it before for Anwar. What are aspects of security or privacy of data, as some customers share very sensitive data over the phone?
See, what happens is that the data remains absolutely secured. That is the number one requirement of moving system from on-premise to cloud as well. So when you are on-premise, actually, I would say those data are much more insecure than on the cloud, right? Because you get the security of a larger umbrella, right? Now, when they are providing the information over the phone, right? They are in the recording format. First of all, right, they are not in the text. Those data are not available internal employee as well. Forget about other customers, right? So they cannot see your data. So nobody can see your data as well. Some of the internal employees may have the access who are working on the developer side, but other things. But there are strict security policy as well. So all these information which are provided over the phone are secured and taken care of. This is what we ensure at least, and most of the service provider will ensure. Sandeep.
Yeah, I echo what Nitya says. I think it's probably, the data is probably a lot more safer if it's on the cloud. A lot of SaaS providers, of course, are on the cloud with regards to data security and whatnot. But yeah, I agree with that.
Hey guys, for everyone, some questions still go unanswered and we'll try and respond to them. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks Sandeep and thanks Nitya for making time for us. Thanks all of you for staying back, even though we crossed a little bit, being patient. It was a great engaging audience and I hope we have all taken something back. There's a small poll for you to rate the webinar so we can kind of improve next time. If you have any feedback, do share it with us. We will be sharing a recording with the presentation for your reference for each one of you to take back with you. Thank you so